2, 1. I don't need to count it. I know what's going on. Good morning. Happy Monday. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and we are here to answer your traffic and police questions. It's what we do Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. It's exciting. It's exciting. I got the ticker tape in the background going. 583,679 followers as of this second. We had a video that's almost at 1 million. I published it Friday before leaving work, and it's almost at 1 million views. Wow. And what were we talking about? We were talking about the magic of headphones. And a lot of people have a difficult time just buying into the concept that we're actually allowed to do something that other people aren't allowed to do. And that is, other jurisdictions don't allow headphones to be worn, while Ontario doesn't have a law prohibiting it. Good to know. Now, it's not to say headphones are a good idea. Headphones happen to be legal, but they're not something we would suggest you do. But it's always good for a conversation. Today being the 11th of July, we want to talk to you about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are a magical group of folks who go out and help out the divisions, different communities within the city of Toronto, and they do it by enforcing Highway Traffic Act. They go out and issue tickets to people who choose to violate laws that lead to serious injury and death on our roadway. What kind of laws? Well, people who choose to speed, drive aggressively, drive distracted, or drive impaired. All of those things lead to serious injury and death on our road, and we need to stop it. We stop it by giving out tickets, not hugs, and we do it every day. Now, they write a lot of tickets, which means there's a lot of folks who choose not to follow the rules. It's a thing. All right, let's get into something we want to talk about. Well, we want to talk about what you want to talk about. Where can you find us? How can you talk to us? Well, you can go on to Instagram. You use the Q&A feature if you're there. You can use the chat. We have help in the chat. I'm getting relayed some discussions. I'm going to pull it up on screen here. I meant to do it earlier. Oh, no, I logged out and didn't log back in. Okay, let me open it here. No, I can't log it in there. Oh, no. Okay, my game is off. But we do have help, and I will get your chat messages brought to me. So what else can I tell you? Oh, we got Kayla Draconis jumping in from YouTube, and we have some folks from Facebook saying hello, which brings me to the fact that we are on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and if you're on Twitter, you can't actually talk to us. So I would suggest if you're on Twitter, come visit us on Twitch or YouTube, where you can ask us questions. All of those questions will show up on the screen, and we'll try and get to everybody. I will also, of course, try and get you on the chat. What do we got for us here? We got questions in the hopper that we can start with. And okay, what happens if I get pulled over driving with a G1 license by myself? One of my favorite questions to cover, because it's a serious offense. It's a $110 fine, which is, I guess, no big deal in this grand scheme of things. The money may not hit you where it hurts. The 30-day suspension will probably hurt you. And that's on the first conviction. On the second, it's a 90-day. On the third, you get kicked out of the graduated licensing program. Also, if you're driving somebody else's car and they're letting you drive, well, guess what? They're violating the Highway Traffic Act. They can be charged for allowing an unlicensed or person in contravention of their conditions to drive. Additionally, you have no insurance in the event of a collision, so you wreck their car, it doesn't get replaced. Yeah, funny how that works. You don't do these things. These are bad things. Now, if you get kicked out of the graduated licensing program and you were like 7 months and 20 days towards getting your G2, guess what? You get kicked out, you start again. No money will be refunded, no time will be awarded to you. Things that you should know. Angela, good morning. How are you? Nova Scotia in the house. Right on. Big Jeff Fresh, hello there. Master G, we have questions about FaceTime and driving. Well, FaceTime and driving is distracted driving. You can't have a screen visible to the driver at all. It doesn't matter if it's your friend's Instagram, if it's your FaceTime, you can't do it. Now, FaceTime audio is audio. It's the same as making a telephone call, but FaceTime with video active is against the law. It's distracted driving in Ontario. And other provinces have even more stringent or strict rules. We can have a glass of water in our car. Drinking a bottle of water, no biggie. But in BC, I'm told that's distracted driving. They have very different laws. You need to know what the rules are for the jurisdiction that you're traveling in or through. Okay. I think I covered everything on G1. If you take a G1, one last thing on G1. If you take a vehicle without consent, not only and drive it, not only does everything apply, but you could also be charged for criminally undertake vehicle without consent. Funny. Okay. Is it illegal to shoot the finger at a driver? So giving someone the bird, communicating with hand gestures, not illegal, does tend to lead to an escalation to road rage. So we don't suggest it. It's not illegal. I can't charge you for giving someone the finger. Would we think you rude? Yeah, likely. But again, it could escalate things. So it's probably better to huff and puff and do nothing. And if it's something that's aggressive, maybe consider getting the police involved. I don't know where should I stand? For the folks who are watching on Twitter, TikTok. If I'm watching, okay, over my shoulder, can you read that number? That number, I'm going to change my standing position here and put, what do I do here? Okay, I'm going to do this. So over my shoulder, that ticker tape, that 583,692.93, that's actually a live counter. So if you follow us right now, you'll see it move. Just saying. If you don't already follow us, please do. We do this Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. And like I said, that's an active live counter. If you hit the button, you're going to see it move. Just happens to be a cool thing that's going on. I was so excited. I've been trying to get that screen to light up for like 2 weeks. Finally, it's working. Okay, what do we got here? We have ticker in the back. See, I got a reminder to talk about the ticker. Okay, I'm good, Sean. How are you? Had a great week? Good. Yeah, I did have a great week. I went to a wedding just last night, and how cool is it? I got to tell you this. I was sitting at the table. We're introducing ourselves to everybody at the table, and a woman who was sitting there says to my father, who I was at the wedding with, "Are you famous?" To him, and I'm like, I'm the TikTok guy. Why are you talking to him? So she thought are you a judge? She wanted to know if he was a judge. So we've established that he's not a judge. He's not famous. He's not on television. And then she says, what about you? And I said, well, a couple people know me. I know a couple people. She said, what's your name? I said, Sean Shapiro. She says, you're the TikTok traffic cop. I go, come on. How do you know I'm the TikTok traffic cop? Do you have Twitter? Do you have TikTok? She goes, no. I listen to you on the radio with Jerry Agar. That's how I know. So I was recognized by name alone. I thought that was really cool. Because I get recognized occasionally in person. I drive through at McDonald's or something and says, I know you. But this was totally different. This was an honest to goodness, just name recognition thing. So very cool. I feel famous now. Okay. We have, my brother has his G1 and I'll be getting my G. When will he be able to drive with me in the car, or will I need more experience? Okay. Once you have a total of 4 years driving experience, that is actually considered accredited. The clock starts when you get your G2, and when you get your full G, you're good to go. But I would suggest getting your driver's license updated so that you have your 4 dots in the bottom right-hand corner next to your mini-me. The reason being is that's the guarantee that all time has been accredited to you, because you don't want to be in a situation where you think based on dates you're okay, but it doesn't actually count. So go to the ministry once you've had the 4 years and make sure they update your license. Now, it's 4 years, and any suspensions or delays on your license wouldn't count towards the 4 years. And that's it. So once you have your qualified G, once you have 4 years and experience. So you could have, 3 years as a G2, 1 year as a G, you're good to go. That type of thing. That's how it works. Good morning, Leo wife. My wife is watching. See, I got the ticker tape working. See, I've been trying anyway. Hope the kids are feeling well. My kids are under the weather today, so hopefully they're watching. They have no school, so they can watch the whole show, right, guys? Yeah, probably not. Hope you're enjoying your snack time. Okay. Question from Stephen Bell. My wife wants to know how many decibels you can have in the back of the decals. I think you mean decals in the back of a vehicle window. So, Stephen, you can paint your rear window solid. You don't have to be able to see through it, as long as you can actually have a clear view to the rear. So if you can see out of your rear view mirror, whether it be the side mirrors or a rear view mirror, you can see, then it's legal. The only windows that we're going to have an issue with are the front and the windows left and right of the driver. Same as having tinted windows. Got to be able to see. And Angela, rightly so, says you can't obstruct your back view. You can like, think about a panel van or a delivery truck. You can actually have it completely opaque as long as you have side mirrors. Okay. What are the Z endorsement restrictions? Isn't Z, I believe, is just going to be your air brakes. Is that air brakes? I know it. I don't remember, Brennan. I have to look it up. What is this? Okay. Let us move on. I can't remember the details of Z endorsement. I have to look it up. And I if I don't know it right off the bat, I'll tell you, and then I'll have to come back later. But yeah, Q confirms it's air brakes. I thought it was. I don't have my endorsement. I don't drive air brakes. Well, I don't use air brakes because I never got the endorsement. See how that works? All right. Why am I getting suddenly interference? We were a no interference channel, and now I'm hearing some. Do you hear the interference? Can you hear the difference? Let me see something. All right, I think I moved it, and I think I'm better now. All right. What is this? I'd like to say, can someone be arrested for not knowing a crime after committing it? Like, for example, can someone interfere on a scene with police and didn't know that was a crime? So, yes, ignorance of the law is not a defense of the law. You ought to have known, and even if you didn't know, you can be arrested and charged and prosecuted for committing the offense, even though you didn't know it was a crime. Generally speaking, we will tell you, get away. And when you don't listen to us, then we arrest you. And then, yeah, you see, you usually get a verbal. You usually get that warning. It doesn't have to be, but usually you do. And if you choose not to take direction, then absolutely you can be arrested, charged, and otherwise prosecuted. Okay. Oh, here's some good questions in the queue. What will I get fined if I'm eating ice cream while driving? If you're eating ice cream while driving and it's not negatively impacting your ability to drive, you probably won't get charged with anything. However, if you are carelessly driving, not in, carrying control of your vehicle, care and attention, of your vehicle, that's a problem. If you're not driving safely, then you can be charged with careless driving. It's $100. What is careless driving? $395 and 6 demerit points, I think it is. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So that could be you. Don't if you can't drive while eating ice cream safely. And really, we're talking about something that draws our attention. We don't just pull over people who have ice cream in their hand. What do we have this? Okay. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm scrolling back. Can you pass in a double solid yellow line in Ontario? So yellow line means the traffic is traveling in the opposite direction as you. So if you were to drive on the other side, you might drive into somebody or they might drive into you. So can you cross? Well, legally you can cross the line. It's not an enforceable offense to cross the line. However, you are responsible for any movement that you make in your vehicle. So if you did cross the line and cause a collision, it's all on you. You would be the guilty party. Now, if you can do it safely, then there's no charge to be laid, unless there's signs saying you can't pass. That's different. The signs have authority, the lines don't. I'm 19 with hopes of becoming a police officer. I just enrolled in university for crime. Is that good? I assume you meant criminology. Okay. As opposed to taking crime in university. That's bad. Don't learn crime. But criminology is a great place to study. And you're doing the right thing, getting your becoming the best candidate you can be. And we are hiring. So if you think that you can pass all your stuff now, there's no harm in applying now. But definitely getting your education makes you a better candidate. Okay. What can you do if you believe your ex is drinking and driving with your children in the vehicle? Believing they're drinking and driving, if you have belief that your children in the car while that person is driving impaired, call the police. They'll investigate. Just making the allegation isn't sufficient. They have to be caught, right? Can you please tell the uneducated what the difference between white markings and yellow markings are? We just hit that. Yellow markings mean traffic on the other side of that line is traveling in the opposite direction as you are, and white lines means the traffic on the other end of the line are traveling in the same direction as you. So if you're northbound and you see dotted lines between you, both vehicles on either side are traveling in the same direction as you. Yellow line is opposing traffic. What is this? Do police vehicles have pollution readers to test cars on the road? No, we don't. We're not emissions control testers. And I'm glad, because that doesn't sound, I don't want to sniff fumes. What are we at? 583, 719. Words and letters and numbers are jumbling today. Yeah, I'm trying to see it on the tiny, but then I look over here and I have it at 583,719,000 followers. We are bigger than we ever thought we would be. And if you don't already follow us. You'll see the ticker move over my shoulder live. Not that it matters how many we have, but if you are a follower, you'll get notified when we go live, which is Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hey, is anyone going to the Honda Indy this weekend? It is this weekend where you get to see cars legally going really, really fast on the road. It is it's always fun. And it's been a couple years since we've had it here. It's been a couple years since we've been there as a booth, as a presenter. So we will have a number of police vehicles there. We'll have a command post there. I will be there along with Sergeant Kulik, and we'll be doing some podcasting. We'll be doing all sorts of engagement, creating content, and answering your questions live in person. So if you want to come by and say hello, we'd love to meet you. And if you weren't already going to the Indy, don't make a special trip. But if you're going to be there anyway, come say hello. We're going to have some fun. Okay. What should you do when you run out of gas on the road and can't park on the side, stuck in the way? Leave your seatbelt on, call for help. If you're stuck on a highway, a side road is one thing, but on a highway, don't get out of your vehicle. Stay in the vehicle, leave your seatbelt on. The chances of you getting rear-ended are high, and you want to be in the best position to make it out safely. So if you can't get off to the side of the road, you stay in the vehicle, hazards on, seatbelt on, call for help. Okay. If I get a speeding ticket, can I pay online or do I need to go somewhere else? I believe there is a company that allows you to pay online. They help you out, but I think they charge a service charge as well. But generally speaking, any bank or government, it's any bank. I think you can also mail it in. Can you be charged as a diabetic driver with a blood glucose level less than 5 with impaired? I don't. That would be a medical episode. I don't think you can be charged criminally for that. It could be impaired driving, and you could be arrested and taken into custody. And then when it's determined that it's a medical emergency, like a number of things. If someone's not cooperating, it could be misdiagnosed. But if we are aware of the fact that it's a medical emergency, we're going to call ambulance and deal with it that way. Can I bring my Quebec modified car during vacation? Modifications don't make it illegal. Illegal modifications make it illegal. If you're creating unnecessary noise, that's going to be illegal. If you're unsafe because you've added camber or you've lowered it too low, it's still unsafe for our roads, and you can still be ticketed and charged. You don't get to drive an unsafe vehicle in Ontario just because it's registered somewhere else. So modification, not a problem as long as they're legal and legal here. Do you need a license for an e-bike? As long as the e-bike meets the criteria for an e-bike in the province of Ontario, there's a number of criteria, some of which are not being capable of exceeding 32 kilometers an hour. That's a big deal. Flat surface, it can't go more than 32. If it does, you are not riding an e-bike, you're riding a motor vehicle, and the motor vehicle requires license, ownership, and insurance. A fine range for insurance is $5,000 to $25,000, not to mention charges for not having a license, which is a motorcycle license, by the way. It's a big deal, and lots of people violate this by modifying their vehicles. So things to think about. Know what you're riding before you ride it, and know where you can ride it. There's a lot of different rules in the city of Toronto about e-bikes and e-type vehicles. Sergeant Kraft wants to know, how many lights can you have in the front of a motorcycle? Asking for a friend. So on a motor vehicle in the province of Ontario, you can have no more than 4 illuminated projector lights on the front of your vehicle. So your main lamps and your fog lights. You can have 4. If you have more, you're eligible for a ticket. $110 if I'm not mistaken, and it's so much easier. Just don't use more than 4. Turn off the ones you don't need. I know it looks cool on certain Harleys, just saying, if a friend was wondering. Can you talk about 2 types of crosswalks, please, in Ontario? We have crosswalks, and we have pedestrian crossovers, 2 different things. At an intersection, a signalized intersection, we have crosswalks. Now, if someone is entering the crosswalk legitimately, legally, they're entering, vehicles have to yield to them. Pedestrians still have to look and make sure that there's no car in the midst of their turn, because if you walk out in front of a car that's turning and they hit you, you might have entered the roadway when it was unsafe and you have some liability there. But if you are already in the intersection and the vehicle cannot and must yield to you, they cannot just drive in front of you. Once you pass them, they're able to continue. This is the biggest difference between pedestrian crossovers and crosswalks. So another thing, a crosswalk, everything changes if a crossing guard is in the crosswalk. At that point, vehicles must wait until there are no pedestrians in the crosswalk before they continue. That's from one side of the road to the other side of the road. Whereas I just finished saying that in a crosswalk without a crossing guard, as soon as they've passed you, you can continue. Now, a pedestrian crossover is always going to it creates a situation where vehicles must wait until all pedestrians are off the roadway. So they hit the button, flashing lights occur. You have to stop for the pedestrians and wait until everyone's off the roadway. Okay, I'm moving on. Moving on. Being an officer, where did you learn all of your knowledge on law? Was it during college or if you went? Okay. So as a police officer, I got my introduction, I suppose, to the Highway Traffic Act, at least formally, in the police college, and there's this wonderful book. It's called the Highway Traffic Act. Well, it's an act, and then someone bound it as a book, and I read it a lot and studied it when I was at the police college. I had some exposure to it as an auxiliary officer. I started as a volunteer with the service, and being in traffic, I was actually volunteering as a traffic officer, as a traffic auxiliary officer, and I learned some, but the majority was actually reading the book. It's amazing how that works. Study, and thou shalt know. Okay, let's have a quick look at what's going on here. I got a couple questions on Instagram Live. I have a concern. If I'm on cruise control on a 60 zone and a car goes 61 to 63 automatically, can I get a ticket? Well, if you're on cruise control and your car exceeds the speed limit, why would it exceed the speed limit if you set it for 60? It shouldn't exceed the speed limit. If it does, because as soon as it senses you're going faster than the marked speed, it would take its foot off the gas, figuratively, and you should slow down. We're not generally looking for someone doing 1 to 3 kilometers over. Not that it's an invitation to exceed the speed limit. Just saying. It shouldn't be. So, yeah, technically you're speeding, and yes, technically you could be charged. What is this? Making a left or what is this? Let me reword. It is, or reread. Left or right lane not going into proper lane legal. So if you are in a left lane and you're making a turn, do you have to stay in the left lane? Is that the question? If so, the answer is yes. You must stay in the appropriate lane or it's improper turning. If you are making a right turn, same thing. If you were in the second turn lane, you'd have to go into the second lane. It's all about going to the appropriate space. I think that's what you're asking. If it's not, please let me know. Okay, we covered those two things. There's no more on Instagram. Let's see what else is going on. Hey, if you're new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable at the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada, and I go live on social media answering your traffic and police questions. We even join our friends on different radio stations answering questions there. Just one of the things we do. We're serving the community on social media and regular media. Wild. Some people don't like that. Some people don't like the fact that the police are engaging, helping people out. Okay. What do we have here? We talked about e-bikes. Yes. We talked about crosswalks. Good. We talked about if I got a warning, not a ticket from an officer, will it be shown to the next officer if they stop me? The answer is if you're stopped in a jurisdiction that shares information, for instance, in Toronto, we have the same system that other police services in the GTA likely use. And yeah, we can see warnings that they issue and they can see warnings that we issue. Absolutely. And obviously within Toronto, we see it. Warnings are just warnings. They don't affect your driver's license, but the idea of it is that it's tracked. So I pull someone over who got a warning, let's say to change their headlight bulbs, and it's a week later and they haven't done it. I'm not giving a warning. They already got the warning, and I can verify that. Let's see here. Here's a good question. Good morning. How can we complain about drivers if you see them on their phones? So if somebody's on their phone, I don't think it's something to call 911 for. If they're all over the road because of it, yeah, 911, there's a driver, because they could also be on their phone and impaired. We don't know what the cause is. But if you see someone who's on their phone, calling 911 is a little bit, I would say, you're going to spend a half an hour and we'll get there well after they've left. But you're better off to use our online reporting tool. Not while you're driving, mind you, but the online reporting tool. To get that, you go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/core, C-O-R-E. And on there, you can make a report about a specific driver behavior. Now, they won't necessarily get charged for it, but they will be contacted. At least the registered owner will get a letter from the Toronto Police saying, hey, at this date and time, you were observed doing ABC. And one of those charges need to have an officer actually witness it to lay them. But it does go into like a warning would, it does create a paper trail. So if there were a bunch of reports and then we pull someone over for using their cell phone, yeah, cell phones we're not giving warnings for, but it does, enhance the case. Can I drive with a Swedish driver's license? You can in Sweden. Actually, you can also drive here. If you're visiting Toronto or Ontario or generally anywhere, international or foreign driver's licenses are accepted. If you're here for more than, I think, 6 months, as a visitor, you'd need to have an international driver's license issued by your home country. Additionally, if you have become a resident or a student here, you're considered a resident, and you'd have to apply for a local driver's license within 3 months. Now, every province is different. Quebec, for instance, doesn't consider a student to be a resident. They're just a student, visitor, temporary. They don't need to apply. But in Ontario, you do, because you're a resident if you're living here for school. Anyway, check wherever you are. Make sure you check with your local authorities. The Ministry of Transportation will tell you exactly what you need to do. You can also googly goo it. Okay. If a family member borrowed my car and got into a collision, are they covered if they are not covered? Okay. As the owner of a vehicle that is insured, you can occasionally lend your vehicle out to a licensed driver who, is one, qualified to drive that class of vehicle, and B, meeting the requirements of the insurance. So some insurance policies will say nobody under the age of 25, or nobody who lives with you who's licensed unless they're named on the policy. They might have those things, at which point you may or may not have problems if you're having a violation. But someone who, generally speaking, if you just loan the vehicle out, it's fine. If they have their own insurance and they're borrowing your car because their car's in the shop, they could do something called a binder where their insurance would cover them on your vehicle. That's also an option. But so the thing is about insurance is it's a private company. We don't regulate. The insurance companies may be regulated by government, but they're not run by governments. They make up their own rules, and you sign those when you become a customer of theirs. In terms of legally, yeah, if it's a licensed vehicle, you can lend it and they can drive it as long as they're covered by that type of license. Go bus driver driving at 65 in a 50 zone. Why no one stops them? Are rules only for the general public? No, I have stopped bus drivers. They are not permitted to speed. Nobody is, other than police, fire, and ambulance. And police can speed basically any time, but don't shoot the messenger. But any time is covering. Oh, thank you. The any time has caveats. It's any lawful execution of the duty, and we're responsible for everything we do. But if it's a fire or ambulance vehicle, they can speed or go through lights under certain conditions. If they're going to a call, if they're specifically dispatched, if they're transporting a patient, there's different criteria under the Highway Traffic Act. Buses, getting to the next bus stop on time it's not cover the requirements. Okay. I've got a good one. But I need to sip some water because I need to sip some water. Hydrating before educating. One of my favorite TikTokers says that. Mind you, not in those exact words, but I do appreciate that he says you must hydrate before you educate. All right. We already covered ice cream. Let's go back to here. If someone is in the hospital and I get a call to get there, but I get pulled over, will I get a ticket for speeding? So I'll cover it two ways. You're saying if someone's in the hospital and you're saying, get here right now, can I speed? Well, the answer is no, you cannot speed. Don't speed, because if you speed, you increase your odds of becoming involved in a collision, and the severity of injuries or damage in a collision when speeding are greater than if you were not speeding. So don't speed. You're not legally exempt because someone called you to say, get here fast. And I sympathize because I have had to run to the hospital at the speed limit to get there because we wanted to make sure we got there before the person passed away. So what if you're transporting someone to the hospital because they are, quote unquote, dying, they are injured, they need immediate medical care? Can you speed? No, you cannot. You can transport them if you think that's wise. I don't think it is. I call an ambulance because medical professionals, people who can slow down time, for lack of a better term, is to provide life-saving measures wherever you are and during transportation. When I was in a motorcycle collision back in 2018, I was taken to hospital and it was an emergency run. They didn't know if I was going to make it. And I was being given medical attention while I was being transported. They're A, allowed to legally exceed the speed limit, and B, they are capable of administering medical treatment to some degree. And I'm not a paramedic. I don't know what they do, but they do stuff, and they will get you there safely so you can get the treatment. It's advanced care. Yeah. Used to be, in talking to YYZ traffic copy, who was a paramedic, says, back in the day, you were getting people to the hospital to get advanced care. Now advanced care is coming to your door. It's one of the reasons why paramedics are so bloody awesome. Thank you, paramedics, for what you do. And fire people and everybody. First responders rock. I'm a little biased, but hey, whatever. Okay. If someone in my car is over the age of 16 is refusing to wear a seatbelt, do I, as the driver, get a ticket? So if they're 16 or older, they get the ticket. But my rule, my car, you don't want to put a seatbelt on, get out and walk. That's my rule. My car, my rule. I don't want to have to deal with the PTSD of seeing your guts splattered on my windshield if we get into an accident. That's just me. I shouldn't say accident, a collision. Yeah. I do not drive with people who do not put their seatbelts on. Simple as that. And yeah, they would get a ticket, but I won't get to that because my wheels will not roll. In a collision, if not at fault, do I need to tell insurance even if I don't want to claim? So here's my way of going. I was always told, tell your sergeant whatever happens so they don't find from somebody else. They don't want to find out from somebody else because it's always worse finding out from somebody else. So if you get into a collision and you don't want to make a claim, but the other party does make a claim or they associate you in a report, and by the way, if there's anything $2,000 and above, you are legally required to file it with police, even if you don't tell your insurance company. So you're not obligated to inform your insurance company, but how does it look when somebody else tells them, hey, your client was involved in the collision? I'd be the one telling them, especially if I'm not at fault, because you don't have to make a claim, but you should tell them. Now, I'm not telling you how are legally obligated to tell them. I'm saying it's probably a better idea. If your speed don't work, can you use an app on your phone for your car? I think you mean if your speedometer doesn't work. Well, you can use a GPS, and your GPS very often has a speedometer, but you know what? I would suggest getting your speedometer fixed, because what happens if you don't have signal or the app on your phone dies and now you're just guessing how fast you're going? I don't think that's a recipe for success. All right. Do all police cruisers carry fire extinguishers in cars? They are all supposed to. We do checks on a regular basis to make sure, and they should all have fire extinguishers in them. At least ours do. Look over my shoulder. 747, 560, what is it? 583. I can't read through that little screen. I should know it's 580 because it's been 580 for a while. 583,747 followers. That's a live ticker. If you hit follow, it's going to go up. So if you don't already follow us, please do. Not only will you see the ticker scroll, but you'll be notified when we go live. And by the way, my name is Sean. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, answering your traffic and police questions for an hour a day, Monday to Friday. And if you are going to be at Honda Indy, which is this weekend, come say hello. We're going to have a big booth next to the OPP. We're going to have some friends from the MTO. And if you have questions that we haven't answered and you can't get a word in edgewise, you're going to get priority seating as you stand in front of me and say, hey, I've been trying to get an answer. We'll get you that answer. We'll get you that answer. Okay. When is Ontario getting rid of the front plate? I don't think there's any plan to get rid of the front plate. When Doug Ford got into office, that was one of his plans. He was going to abolish the front plate and save 50% of the money when new cars are sold and plated. Half the plates is half the money. He was going to say it was a great idea. Except he spoke to the professionals, the police, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police weighed in on it. And my understanding from that conversation is public safety took a priority. See, there's this belief that if there's two plates, we'll have twice the chance of seeing or identifying a driver or a vehicle. So it's the real deal. We want to be able to identify vehicles that are involved in things like Amber Alert, people who are fleeing the scene of crime, stolen vehicles. All of these things are important. All of these things matter. So twice the chances of being identified. Why wouldn't we want you to have it? A lot of people don't like it. They don't want to mar the front of their vehicle. They don't want to put holes in their bumper, especially the high-end car market. So if that's you, check out a tow hook adapter. That's what I would suggest. But you got to have the front plate. You're not going to be slowed down even in your Lambo. Are blue license plates legal in Ontario? I've heard nothing to the contrary. So if they were issued by the province, unless there's been a recall, which I'm not aware of, they're still legal. Okay. What do we have here? Okay. Lots of stuff here. Angela says, what's the fine for someone that doesn't renew their license plates for 2 years? Driving with invalid plates is the same fine, 1 year or two. It's going to be $110. Now, if you continue to not renew, that's an issue. You're going to be given a summons and sent directly to court to answer for your sins. Now, usually it's people forgetting, and there's a lot of folks who've forgotten. There was an extension that took you up until February 28th of this year. If you were covered under the extension for the pandemic, that's over. If you have not renewed your plates, despite the fact that that's free for most vehicles, you still have to go on and renew. So if you are one of the folks who have expired and have not renewed online for free since this came into play, go online to the MTO today, renew today to avoid getting that $110 ticket. And if you go into Quebec, apparently it is like a $500 ticket for having expired plates. So if you're traveling, even more reason. Yeah, just don't do it. Free. It's free, folks. Just renew. No sticker will be issued. You will get a printed or a PDF. Print it out. Keep it with your documents. And some people have even said, like Jerry Agar says, I'm taking a copy of an article so I can show officers when I travel throughout the United States and Canada that my expired plates aren't expired. We don't need stickers anymore. All right. Can volunteer firefighters responding to their stations speed while their green light is flashing? I love this question. I love volunteer firefighters, but I'm sorry, you cannot speed with a green flashing light. The only thing that you are entitled to do with a green flashing light is have people move out of your way based on courtesy. It is not a requirement for anyone to get out of your way. I personally think they're horrible people if they don't get out of the way of a volunteer firefighter going to go save the day. They're there on their own time, not being paid, to go and help someone in distress, whether it be protecting property from fire or helping someone, giving life-saving first aid. They're doing good work. So get out of their way if you see flashing green lights in your background. It's a courtesy. And if it's someone with a fake one, you know what? Get out of their way, because they'll get caught on their own if they're faking it. But they cannot speed. They cannot go through red lights. That would be illegal, and they would be taking all that liability on themselves. What is this? Will an officer know if you have a firearms license during a traffic stop, and will that interaction be put into the Cpic database? We can do checks to see if people have licenses. Generally speaking, in a simple traffic stop, that's not what we're doing. But we do have the ability of checking that stuff. Thanks for asking, Rocket. On the topic of collision, I was in a collision last year and I wasn't at fault, but the police weren't notified. Could there have been charges towards either of us? So if you were in a collision and nobody filed anything, we just wouldn't know, right? Here's the big deal. If you're involved in a motor vehicle collision, know what your rights are, know what the rules are, because you could be hurting yourself. I just heard a story about someone who was rear-ended. Minor collision. I think they were approaching a red light. They were rear-ended by a white Mercedes, and the driver of that Mercedes didn't have a license. They were either suspended or never had one. We don't know the details. They chose not to report it to police. They were afraid for one reason or another. I guess possible repercussions. Whatever the case was, they didn't report it to police. So are there repercussions? Yeah. That damage was more than $2,000. They can be charged for failing to report. Never mind the fact that person got into a car and drove away again. And when they drove away, they could have injured somebody else. No license also comes with no insurance. They had no proof of insurance. So bad day at the office. If you're involved in a collision, check out the Toronto Police website. On there is a section for what to do if you've been involved in a collision. Everything you wanted to know and more available there. Okay. Hey, a lot of people in the room. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff in general. If you've got questions, use the Q&A, use the chat. If you're anywhere other than Twitter, you can pretty much ask a question. However, Twitter folks, come visit us on YouTube or Twitch or any one of the platforms that we're broadcasting on to actually be heard. It's nothing personal. Twitter just doesn't work. Yeah, and our Q&A, I haven't actually checked today. No, Q&A still broken. Thanks, TikTok. But we do have friends who are helping us out by sharing the questions and feeding them to me so we can actually get going. Yeah, Q&A is not working on TikTok. We don't know why. But Chase, hey, I haven't plugged the Volley app today. And thank you, Chase, for asking a question. We have, let's see here. Oh, we got a bunch of stuff. We covered that one. Okay, let's talk about two things. So one, is a cop allowed to pull me over for the dealer thing around my plate, like the plate number visible and the sticker? So the answer is yes. That is a violation. You're not allowed to obstruct any portion of your plate, and that is an offense. That's Yolandon, who asked that actually a couple of days ago, but apparently I missed it. And Chase wants to know, can ambulance run stop signs or red lights during an emergency run? And when other police are involved as well. Okay, so this is, let's see, is it here? I actually can.
Sean, can ambulances run stop signs or red lights during an emergency run when other police are involved as well?
So here's the deal, and thank you, Chase, who's taken up the cause. This is Volley app. This is where you can send me video, voice, or text messages. If you go on to my VoiceOver Cop Twitter account, there's an invitation to our traffic services space where you can ask questions all the time, and I'm on here all the time. So not only will I answer your questions, but I'll use your questions in future episodes. Again, to answer your question is, police, fire, and ambulance all have to come to a complete stop at a stop sign before proceeding, and all have to come to a complete stop with their emergency equipment fully activated, making sure it's safe to go forward before going through a red signalized intersection. That's a lot of information at one time. When can they go through without stopping? If there's a police officer directing them in the intersection at that moment. That's the only time police, fire, and ambulance can go through without coming to a stop first. Otherwise, they are not only legally responsible, but they're asking for it. They're going to create a situation, and they're totally liable. 583,759. We are moving. I think we're up like 60. I think we're about 60 people up. That's a live ticker tape of our TikTok following. So if you don't already follow us, please do. Okay. I just arrived from Greece as a tourist. My Greek license is valid here, right? Yes, we accept foreign licenses as when tourists come in and travel here. Some jurisdictions require an international driver's license, something you would apply for ahead of time. And if it's either 3 or 6 months, when you're beyond that, you have to apply for that. But generally speaking, foreign licenses absolutely accepted here. Can you drive with a dog on your lap? No. It is careless driving or drive while crowded, depending on if the officer wants to proceed. It is dangerous. It's dangerous for you, it's dangerous for the animal, and it's unsafe for the road in general because your focus isn't on driving. Okay. Why can police have tint, but we can't? Police don't have illegal tint. And you can have tint in Ontario. You just can't have tint on the front windshield in Ontario. You can't have window tint over 30% light blockage on the windows left and right of the driver, and the rear is not regulated. You can have as dark as you want. But we have to abide by that too. So if you're talking about some other jurisdiction with different laws, maybe they have an exemption. I don't know. Can you do a U-turn on a red? I've heard conflicting views. If you cross the stop line on a red light, you are proceeding before green, you are violating. You cannot make a U-turn on a red light. That is against the law. And it should be common sense. I'm not knocking you for asking, but yes, there are people who believe they can. They are absolutely in the wrong, and they should be charged. It's one of the most dangerous maneuvers you do a U-turn. It's 100% liability on you, and then you add on running a red light to do it. That's not good. Okay. Isn't it time to charge dealers for putting on illegal covers on their rear plates? Interesting that you said that. And we talk about tint providers who put tint in places that are illegal and then showboat about it. We talked about potentially having liability for them. But here's the deal. It's not illegal for them to put it on. If they're representing and telling you it's legal and giving you bad advice, maybe, but that's a stretch. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility as the driver of a motor vehicle to ensure that it is up to snuff and legal before you get on the road and do something with it. So license plate frames, if you buy them at Canadian Tire, like when I was a kid, they all said for off-road use only. I don't know if that's still the case, but you got to read labels, and nobody reads labels anymore. So things that help you out along the way. All right. What is this? Okay. We have Angela. Thank you very much for moderating inside of YouTube and just letting people know that questions are important to us. Please hold for the next available Sean to answer. That's awesome. I think I need someone to record that, and I can play it as one of our sounds. Okay. If you do a crime, you do the time. Okay, do that one too. Okay, is Project Erase doing inspections? Yes. Now, Project Erase isn't 24/7, 7 days a week. However, we come together with other police services in the GTA, and together we go and do events. We will go out and blanket an area with police. We'll get 20, 30, 40 cops and go and look for vehicles that are illegally modified or engaged in racing activities. And then we inspect those vehicles, and we even partner with the MTO. It's an awesome thing to see it happen. If you go back on our Twitter, you can see some action shots of an inspection. We get a lot of vehicles off the road, lots and lots of charges. And what does that really mean? It means there's a lot of people breaking the law. That's what it really means. And if you don't want tickets, you shouldn't break the law. Modifications are fine as long as they're legal modifications. I love cars. I love motorcycles. Do it safely, and there's no issue. Break the law, and you're going to get taken off the road. The first vehicle that was inspected when I was at the last day race event in Toronto, 6 charges, lost its license plates. It was a gong show. It had stretched tires. It was too low. The springs were cut in a choppy way, so it wasn't safe. It had no muffler. It was a mess, an absolute mess. I think it had a detachable steering wheel. Had no airbag. It was removed. Like anything that could go wrong was wrong with this vehicle. And the driver claimed to be a mechanic, and then he created all sorts of posts saying, "Hey, the guys are checking." Yeah, because it's an unsafe vehicle. So it drives me bananas. Okay. How do law enforcement officers handle with people during traffic stops who refuse to give identification as they believe they have not committed a crime, asking due to curiosity? Under the Highway Traffic Act, you are obligated to identify yourself. If you do not, you can be arrested until we can identify who you are. So, yeah, it's a serious thing. People, this whole, I don't think you have the right to talk to me. That doesn't work. You are responsible, you are legally obligated, and we will arrest you. Now, a passenger doesn't have to identify themselves unless they're being investigated for an offense under the Highway Traffic Act or Criminal Act for that matter. But let's say a passenger is believed not to have been wearing their seatbelt. Well, then we would be in our right to ask you for identification as a passenger. And if you refused, we could arrest you as well. Funny how that works. Okay, what do we have here? Have you ticketed other police for speeding? I have not, but I've never caught any police for speeding. And if I were to have stopped a car that was a police officer, they would be legally speeding because police are allowed to exceed the speed limit. Now, where would I pull over a police car? A marked cruiser, I wouldn't, but I have pulled over undercover vehicles who were exceeding the speed limit. And in those situations, they were not ticketed. They were lawfully executing their duties. I've never pulled any police officer over who were actually themselves in private vehicles speeding. Just hasn't happened. Okay. Have you, what is this? Yes. Apparently I must hydrate. By the way, thanks for everyone who's hanging out. We do this Monday to Friday for an hour. This is a show about you. It only works when you ask questions. So I appreciate everyone who takes the time to ask their questions. Even if you're getting benefit out of it, when you ask a question, there's probably 20 or 30 people who want to know the answer to that question. So you are being helpful and contributing to the whole deal here, which reminds me, the community that we're building on Volley is a thing. So check out the post that I have on VoiceOver Cop on Twitter. That's the invitation. I should put it on other platforms. I just haven't yet. And it's too long for me to rehearse and recite every 5 minutes. So check it out there. That's where it is. And come join us. Okay. What is the highest paid ticket you have given? The highest paid ticket? Well, I've charged people for drive no insurance. That carries a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. So it's not a ticket per se. There is a form, a 104, and people call it tickets, but one that the highest piece of paper that you can just go to the bank and pay, $615, 3 demerit points, and a 3-day suspension. That's for distracted driving. That would be the highest one, not including the insurance one. Okay. How do you tint test, and do you remove tint on scene? So tint, there's 2 different ways to go. So mechanics check your tint but using a meter. That's to find out if it meets the grade in order to certify a vehicle. Police aren't required to do that. We make a determination that we believe the tint to be too dark, and we have some ways to establish that ourselves. That isn't a testing device based on an amount of light, but basically a standard. And if we lay the charge saying it's an unsafe vehicle, we'll take your license plates, and then you'll have to go get tested by a mechanic who will certify or not certify your vehicle for you to reapply for your license plates. Now, when it comes to obscuring the interior of your vehicle, that doesn't require any testing either. It just means I can't see inside the vehicle to identify you. And if you have dark tint, that would automatically put you in that category. Even if you have legal tint for the purposes of safety, but it's dark outside and I can't see in, you're violating the rule. Under the HT, it says you're obscuring the interior of your vehicle. I know it's not a popular thing, but it is the thing. Additionally, if you have any tint on your front windshield, you're unsafe, so we can just pull your license plates. Now, I have had people who have pulled their tint off while you wait in order for them to be able to drive home, because otherwise you lose your plates and you're getting flatbedded or towed home. I love this. What do you guys think of the ticker in the back, being able to actually see the instant response when you follow and actually have the ticker roll? I think that's so neat. And I've got a couple of weeks me trying to figure out how to make this work. And you think, well, what's the big deal? It's hard to make a TV play the internet when you're on a secure network. So I tried an Apple TV, didn't work. I tried a telephone. Well, it's an old telephone. It won't support the script that required for this HTML to run that ticker. So now I've got my iPad going through an adapter for HDMI going into a TV. You know, the things I do to make that work. And it's so simple and clean. I like it. I like it a lot. What do we have here? Am I allowed to drive my husband's car? He got insurance. My name isn't on it. I'm assuming you live with your husband, which would mean that your insurance company, if you're not listed and paying as a secondary driver, is probably going to take an issue with that. They're going to want you to be an insured party named on the policy. If you were to do it, would we give you a ticket? No, there's no offense being created as long as you are licensed for that vehicle and that vehicle is insured. You're legally allowed to drive it, but your insurance, again, might say no and may choose not to cover you in the event of a collision. Okay. Can we move used bought car with our old insured plates not connected to that car? Okay, if you have insurance for that vehicle, not just insurance for a vehicle, that vehicle, and you have license plates that are not attached or assigned to any other vehicle, so you sold your car, you have plates that are not, they're considered unattached, then you could use your insurance policy, which you had put on specifically for that vehicle, and your unattached plates for up to 6 days to get them home, to get to a mechanic. You can also just go to the ministry, and I always suggest transferring ownership at the ministry if you're selling or buying a vehicle, so you know it's done. And then at that point, you'd get a temporary sticker on a plate, and you'd have insurance, and you'd be in your best situation. But yeah, either way, you're good. Is that a microphone USB or USB-C? So this is a Shure SM7B. And I think it is the most amazing microphone ever made. I'm a fanboy. What can I say? I have a lot of different microphones. I've used condenser, dynamic. I have Shure MV7s here. This is my own personal microphone because I like it so much. But it is not a USB mic. It is an XLR mic. Does not require power, but it does have to go through a device, a converter, a DAC, digital audio converter. It's going through a Zoom PodTrack P8, but I have a Ceramonic smart rig. I have all sorts of different rigs that I can use. And I keep talking about doing this on the VoiceOver Cop TikTok, talking about a how-to behind the scenes, how we do things here. I haven't got around to doing it. It's one of those things about being the busiest person I know. I'm just making excuses. I need to do it. Okay. What do we got here? Okay. So, yeah, if you have more questions, feel free to DM me. If you want to get your question answered possibly more frequently, DM me on the VoiceOver Cop channel, just because I get hundreds and hundreds of messages on the traffic services one. So if it's not really a traffic services question, definitely put it on the DM me on the other account. Can a medically suspended driver drive in an emergency? A medically suspended driver is suspended, so there's no exemption for emergencies. And truly, if it's an emergency, call police, fire, ambulance, and get the emergency responded to by a professional. There's no excuse for driving without a license. And when you drive without a license and you're suspended, you're also not insured. What do we got here? Since weather is getting really hot, and if a dog is in a hot car and needs help, are you allowed to break the car window? That's a great question. Thank you for asking it. We've talked about this before, and if you want to find, I mean, I'll rebroadcast it, but we did a fabulous episode with the Humane Society and another fabulous episode. They're just fabulous. We did an amazing episode with the OSPCA, and we talked about how can we respond to this? How can people? Well, a number of issues come into play when you break a window. One, you're taking action to save a life. Yes, but you're breaking private property, and you may or may not be in the right. Your best bet is to call 911 and explain what's happening. Police, fire, and ambulance will attend, one of them, whoever's, it'll likely be fire or police, and they will break the window if need be. But they will have the authority to do it. You do not. Will you be charged if you do it? Maybe. Depends. I'd make every effort to do something other than break that window. Now, even touching the car, let's say you open the door in the car of the car and you find out that dog's not that friendly and you get bit, that's a problem. There's a lot going. Anything you do, you're going to be held responsible for. Let's put it that way. So you might want to call police. Okay. Hello. How you doing? Erin has done this a couple of times where she opens up her iPod and the boombox goes bananas. And anyways, I find it funny. I'm not angry. Yeah, it's the uncooperative headphone / Bluetooth / iPad. It's a TikTok thing. Okay, let's move on. What is considered not a red light camera ticket while in the intersection? I don't know what you mean, Carolina. A red light camera ticket is when you cross into the intersection on a red light. You actually enter on a red light. And that is based on the red light camera system identifying your speed as you enter the intersection. So It's if you cross the line. I think that's the only thing that's a red light camera ticket. Now, that's run by the City of Toronto or whatever municipality you're in, not the Toronto Police. What do we have here? Questions are encouraged. Yes, just a reminder, and thank you, Angela, for bringing it up. If you're on TikTok and you are spamming, like answering or asking the same question 100 times, I just want to let you know, I'm not actually reading the chat at all. I have friends helping me out to get the questions brought over to me. They're doing a great job, but spamming just annoys everybody, so please don't do it. We want to get everybody's question answered, and we do our very best. I know it doesn't always work. If you want to make sure that your questions are answered, you have a couple of options. You can go use the Volley app. The invitation to get onto the Volley app space for traffic services is on my Twitter, VoiceOverCop. And if you go there, you can send me questions before the show, after the show. I'll use it tomorrow. There's all sorts of options. I'll even respond to you directly there. And that's one way. The other way is use the Q&A function of TikTok. Now, Q&A in the chat is broken. It's been broken for over a month. Are we at 2 months yet? It's really not working. TikTok is looking into it, but it is not working, and we are annoyed. But we love them anyway, even though we're annoyed with them. Anyway, if you use the Q&A function in the main page, I will be able to make a video response. It just may not be instantaneous. It's faster to use Volley app. Okay, let's move on. I'm passing somebody. No, that's not the one I'm looking at. We jumped up a bit. Okay, we're going to go back. Hang on a second. Medically suspended, we talked about. Turn right on a red. Okay. Turning right on a red, got a ticket in the mail, no signs posted. Otherwise, what can I do? If there's no signs for preventing you from turning right on a red light, then who issued you the ticket? If you got it in the mail? So what you did is you failed to stop before turning right on the red, because a red light camera ticket, see, when you make a right on red, you have to come to a complete stop. And if you come to a complete stop, a red light camera ticket will not be issued. So you obviously drove through it at speed, which is against the law. In terms of signs, no right on red, that's different. No right on red signs would be issued by a police officer, unless you're somewhere that has some kind of fancy technology that I'm not aware of. If I'm passing someone, can I be charged for speeding 110 and an 80? Wow, yes, you can, because speeding is not an authorization. Sorry, passing is not an authorization to speed. You're not allowed to speed. The maximum posted speed is the maximum posted speed, even when passing. Passing is not a secret recipe for speeding. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, you can be charged, and that's a good charge. 110 and an 80 is going to do wonders for your insurance. Okay. And it's totally legit. Yeah, I would. Yeah, sorry. I don't understand sometimes, because to me things are so simple. Speed limit. Yeah. Okay. Can you get a DUI on a bicycle and lose your license? Bicycle in Ontario, or in Canada, I should say, no. A bicycle with no power, just pedals, you cannot be charged for DUI. However, if you are on an e-bike, you can be criminally charged for impaired operation, because anything other than muscular power is against the law when you combine it with drugs or alcohol. You cannot do it. Okay. Can I be fined for having old insurance documents with me? I have the new ones as well. It's not illegal to have your old insurance documents, but if you provide us with old ones, they are not valid, and thus you can be charged $65 in Ontario for failing to surrender your insurance, proof of insurance. Valid ones aren't proof. Okay. I should be a mod. Yes, Angela, you should be. Okay. But more on that later. We have moderators. We have people. We're currently waiting for it's an official position now. We've gone from just hanging out and helping out to now officially doing it. We're trying to get things working. So people who are volunteering as mods will actually be actual volunteers for the Toronto Police Service, as opposed to just hanging out on social media. So thank you to all those who give up their time on a regular basis, whether you're officially a mod or not. All right. If you park in front of a fire hydrant, are firemen allowed to break your car window to get access to the fire hydrant? Yeah, I think they can do just about anything they want, because they have a need to get to that fire hydrant to save lives. It's an emergency situation. They do what they got to do. I don't know the ins and outs of how much they're responsible if they smash and destroy your car. The movies would suggest they can fill it full of water. I don't know the rules on that. But yeah, don't park in front of it. That will definitely tow you, but if they need to get there and the only thing stopping a gazillion-dollar building from burning down is your car, I wouldn't put much faith on them worrying about scratching or destroying your car. Okay, replying to Brennan Taylor. Brennan, wouldn't the police or someone else in the area let the blind... What? I don't know what we're talking about. looking back for, I'm not sure what you're responding to, but I'm sure it's valuable. Okay, you applied. All right. Can you be, okay, we talked about that. Do you have to go to special training to be a boat cop? So first of all, you have to be a police officer first, and then you would join the Marine unit, and then there's all sorts of training there. Most, if not all, I don't know if they're all, they're not all divers, but many of them are divers, and they do body recoveries and things like that. There's a lot of training, and they're always training. But the details of that, I don't know, because I've never done it. But you know who has? Sergeant Kulik used to be a member of the Marine unit, so we'll have to get her on to talk about that. How do you know when to use the emergency number and the non-emergency number? Like, what constitutes an emergency? Well, if it's an emergency, it's probably something that is right now. I mean, like, literally now, people are in danger, something just happened, you need police right now, not like it happened yesterday. So making it relevant to the moment, like, I need police right now because someone's in danger, call police. And you know what? If you're wrong, if you misjudged, it's not the end of the world. Just don't make a habit out of it. You'll learn from calling and misusing it. I'm not suggesting misusing it, but if you thought it was an emergency and they disagree, it's not the end of the world. Better to call us and find out. Now, if it's an emergency and you're worried about being using it inappropriately, and you call the non-emergency line and now you don't get the help you need in a timely fashion and someone gets hurt, that's the big thing. Is someone going to get hurt right now? That's an emergency. Okay. Are you getting paid right now to answer dumb questions on TikTok? Yes, I am. And no question is dumb, only the question that isn't asked. We are answering traffic and police questions all day long. We're also, well, not all day long, for an hour a day. And then we go on the radio and we answer questions about police and traffic questions to the general public, because we get that on the radio calls. We talk about our campaigns. We are engaged engaged in being engaged. We're all about whatever you need to know about is important and legitimate. So I appreciate that you may think they're dumb, but somebody else really needs to know the answer to this question. So it's not dumb. That's my take on it. So yes, I am being paid. I'm a media relations officer and a media officer and a social media officer and a traffic officer and a traffic educator. And it all matters. Okay. What if I drive with little loud music? Am I getting charged? Well, little loud music doesn't sound like it's a problem. If you're blasting the beats and people on the street can feel it in their chest and it's just too loud, you're polluting the air, you're disturbing the community. And yes, it's an offense to create unnecessary noise in the public when you're in a vehicle. Yeah. $110. It's also the same offense if you have an illegal exhaust pipe and you're creating too much noise. Thought people can have a little coke on them under 10 grams. I believe that's in a very specific jurisdiction. It's not Ontario. I don't exactly know how they're modifying the criminal code, but in a jurisdiction. So I'm not aware of the details. But I did read articles briefly, and it suggests that in some areas things are being legalized, and I don't understand it. Can my cell phone be docked in clear view on the dashboard while driving? If you have mounted your phone in your vehicle, it can be in view. It cannot be watching movies or playing games or writing emails. The only app you can look at is the telephone app, aside from the telephone app, where you can see the lock screen where it tells you who's calling you, is the GPS. And if you're using GPS, it must be in the GPS mode before you put your vehicle in motion, before you stop you change the category of being legally parked to actually driving. So if you're driving and you're looking at other stuff, you got a problem. Hey, we got someone who jumped into Volley app. Welcome. Let's see what we got here. Hey, I sold my car and got a new car with new plates. What do I legally need to do with my old plates? That's a good question. You can keep them. You don't have to return them. You can return them so that they don't fall into the wrong hands, or you just may not want them anymore. But I have plates from all sorts of old cars, and no one's asked me for them, and it's not an offense that I'm aware of to keep them. But you could assign them to another car in the future. So there you go. You have options. I don't know how quickly you jumped onto the app, but there's proof. You get your questions answered if you use Volley app. And by the way, it's a free app, and I don't make money from telling people to use it. I just think it's an amazing platform that is helping us out while TikTok figures out how to fix its Q&A. And if you feel comfortable enough, you can go and actually use your voice or video, and I'll play it on the show. Thank you, Angela. Yes, don't be shy. Don't be shy to ask your questions. No question is dumb. I appreciate that. That is absolutely what we want to share. What happens if you get prescribed opioids as medication? Does it register on your license? What happens if you get pulled over in that duration of prescription? If you are under the influence of medication, you can still be charged for impaired driving by drug. It does not. There's no exemption that if I can get my drugs legally, that I'm okay to use them while driving. No, impaired by drug is impaired by drug. So there you go. Assaulted on bus, who is in charge of transit authority or police? So police are police, and special constables or that handle transit are special constables. And ultimately, the police are going to conduct an investigation. But you can notify transit, and they will also call us. We'll both deploy for most things. Hey, Kayla of Draconis just mentioned the fact that I have not paid attention to my duties to remind everyone that HarleyRaffle.ca is available right now. What is that? It is a charity raffle supporting the Special Olympics Ontario, raising money for that great cause. Special Olympics is a great organization, and you can participate and not only support them financially by buying tickets, but you might actually win a Harley Davidson. And someone who has too many headlights might have won last year. But yeah, so that's the deal. One ticket is $20, 3 for $50, which is the better deal, by the way. You can go buy your tickets now. There's only 7,000 available. I don't know how many are left, so get them before they're gone. www.harleyraffle.ca. Go get it. Go get it. Yeah. Can we drink coffee while driving in Ontario? You can drink coffee, you can drink tea, you can drink water, you can drink pop, you can drink non-alcoholic or drug or controlled substances while you're driving, as long as it doesn't negatively impact your ability to drive. If you are all over the road because you are drinking that last drop of the 1.5 liter bottle, not that I've ever seen anybody do that. Yeah, I've seen it. Then you're not driving your vehicle properly. That's careless driving, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're not able to safely control your vehicle and you're all over the road, it's careless driving. Okay. What happened? What happens if the police catch you typing on your phone while driving? Well, we pull you over and charge you for distracted driving. It's a $615 fine. It comes with 3 demerit points and a 3-day suspension on conviction. Yeah, not a good place to be. Your insurance is going to love you when they get to make more money off you because you're a higher risk. You've demonstrated that you're a high-risk person. So they will definitely be upping your rates on renewal. If I don't know, do they increase the rates before you renew? I'm not sure. Anyway, you cut it, it's a bad day. Okay. What happens if someone in a traffic stop drives off before the cop gets to his vehicle? That's going to increase the type of charges you're going to get because obviously you're playing games. You're failing. I don't know. Would it be fail to stop for police officer, or is it flee from police? Either way, you're escalating things, and it's a bad day when you get caught. And guess what? We're going to catch you because we have this thing called a Motorola. Actually, it's not even is it a Motorola? It is a Motorola. It's a Motorola radio, and we can call our friends, and they can all come. And we've already recorded your vehicle's license plate and description and all sorts of things before you've even decided to play the game of, I'll get away before he gets to my window. No, that's a bonehead move of the highest order. Okay. If pulled over, can the officer see previous tickets beyond 3 years, or is it just the ones within 3 years? Your entire driving record from the day you're licensed and anything that was issued and convicted prior to license. So let's say you're a kid and you stole a car and you got charged with a whole bunch of stuff. The Ministry of Transportation generates a driver's license number for you. It's a custom one for your life. So if you later in life get your license, and I'm going beyond the scope of the question, but yeah, you get a driver's license issued to you before. So anything you've ever been charged with, we have the ability to see. Forever. Yeah. Fun. Don't just be a good driver. Don't break the law. It's the best thing you could possibly do. And guess what? I don't want to write you a ticket. I want you to drive safely. If you drive safely and legally, I'm not going to write you a ticket. It's as simple as that. All right, we got to wind this down because I just looked at the time and we're overtime. Overtime, I don't get paid extra for overtime. I'm here anyway. But I got stuff I got to do because Honda Indy is this weekend and I want to be ready. I don't want to show up with half a booth. I got to have everything ready. So for your benefit, I need to go. But we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. And do this all over again. But I want to cover just a couple more questions because I'm just like that. What's the quota for cops in regards to handing out tickets? I'm going to let you in a little secret. There are no quotas. I know nobody believes me, but it is that truth that no one wants to accept. But we don't actually have quotas. We're expected to go do an honest day's work. We're paid by the police service. And if we show up and we've not done any reports, we've not investigated any collisions, and we've not written any tickets, what were we doing while we were getting paid? And we get paid well. So, we write tickets, or we go to calls, we do something, and we have to both record what we do. But there's no Sean, I was really hoping you were going to hit your patrol goal of 5,000 tickets this month. No, it's not like that. No free toaster if we go over too. And I didn't even realize, I say this all the time. My sergeant says I can write as many as I want. And I just watched, I think we're in season 2 or 3 of rewatching Chips with my kids. And that was, I think it was Poncherello who said in one of his lines, my sergeant says I can write as many as I want. But it turns out he was saying it to his sergeant when he was giving him a hard time. In any case, apparently when I was a kid, I heard that and it was stuffed into my subconscious and comes out all the time. And I only now realize that I got it from Chips, which is one of the primary reasons I became a police officer, by the way. Love the show. What do we got here? Time. Everyone's telling me it's time. And, a good question. Can a learner in another province drive in another province or the USA? A learner, if you are truly a G1, M1, a person who has a learner's temporary permit that requires supervision of another driver, the answer is no. You cannot drive outside of the province. You cannot drive outside of the country. The only licenses that will actually allow you to go beyond the border of your province or the country, which is still the province, is going to be a G2, M2, or better. So if you have your learners and you've got your probationary license, you're good to go. Can I swim to Canada right now? You'd have to be a very strong swimmer, but it is the right season. Are e-scooters legal in Mississauga? E-kick scooters, if you're talking about those, are legal in Mississauga from what I understand. Not legal in Toronto. That's the stand-up, tiny wheel, skateboardy kind of handlebar doodad. Not legal in Toronto at all in the electric version. Now, e-scooters are usually what people call e-bikes that look like scooters. I don't know. I imagine they would be because they're pretty much covered under the whole e-bike law as long as they conform to the legislation. If I rent a bike, do I still need a helmet on the street? If you're under the age of 18, you do. But if you want to keep your brain in one piece and functioning, you want to wear a helmet regardless of your age. So I would say you do, but you're not legally obligated to if you're 18 or over. Have you ever thought about going into radio besides this? Great radio announcer voice. Thank you very much. I have, but not seriously. Like I thought about being on the radio when I was a kid. I had friends in the radio business. Punch Andrews, I think it was 680 back in the day. He was a friend of mine, and he actually taught as well. But unfortunately, he passed away to cancer quite a number of years ago. And but I don't know. I guessed on radio, but I've never really thought about being a radio announcer myself. But check out Radio Star. It's a competition. Googly goo it. Check out Radio Star. I'll leave the rest to you. Can I have a recommendation from you? I want to apply the RCMP. Well, I'd love to give you a recommendation, but I can only give you a recommendation if I actually know who you are and I can recommend you based on my knowing you. So based on the fact that I don't actually know you, I don't think I can give you a recommendation. Can I hug a cop with consent, but generally not something we would do in public? It just doesn't look good. But I don't know. I don't even hug my wife in public. When she used to come up and see me, we'd be very formal. Like, I don't want to look bad. I don't want to, public appearance, kind of look the uniform. It's all about, it was awkward. I will hug my kids. Somehow hugging my kids is just anytime. All right, let's wrap this up. I'm going to start the music. It's the musical countdown. When the song is over, I will essentially hang up and shut down. What is this? I'm scrolling through to see if there's a zinger, a winner, an amazing thing. Can you have an aftermarket exhaust with a muffler if it meets the legal requirements? Yes. If it is illegal, no. Is Police Foundations a great course to get hired? It's a course, and any education is good. Get your accounting degree; it's good. It doesn't matter what you have as long as you are a good candidate and able to meet all the requirements. There's a lot of people with Police Foundations. I have Police Foundations. It's good, but there's always better. Okay. Can I use a Tesla without HOV green plates? Sorry, can I use a Tesla in the HOV without green plates? No, the green plates are what give you the authority to be in that lane. Your vehicle qualifies for the plates. The plates qualify you for the lane. I know it blows people's minds. All right. Every municipality determines whether or not you can have an uninsured and unregistered vehicle parked in your driveway. Generally speaking, it has to have active plates. Can a pregnant woman drive in an HOV lane? They can if they have other passengers inside their vehicle or they're in a green-plated vehicle. But the unborn child does not qualify officially. And that's the end. That's the countdown. There's a whole bunch of other good stuff here, and I can't keep going. I gotta say goodbye. All right, that's it. We'll catch you later. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. And we'll put up some other content as well. But be safe out there. And if you're going to drive sober.